Amandla awethu Matimba ayina Matla. Program directors, leaders of the ANC, past and present, leaders of government, past and present, leaders of COSATU and the SACP and SANCO, past and present, leaders of the religious or the faith communities present today, members of the family, distinguished guests, comrades and friends. My name is Peggy Jalinjali, the Deputy General Secretary of COSATU. As I was struggling in my mind as to what to say to this occasion today, I came across a piece of a paper entitled, "I'm Free." And I want to share with you for a few moments about what it says. It says, "Don't grieve for me now, I'm free. I'm following the path God laid for me. I took his hand when I heard him call. I turned my back and left it all. I could not stay another day to laugh, to work or play. Task left undone must stay that way. I found peace at the close of day. If my parting has left a void, then fill it with remembered joy to friendship shared, a laugh, a kiss, oh yes, the things I too will miss. Be not burdened with the times of sorrow. My life has been full. I save much good friends, good times, a loved one such. Perhaps my time seem all too brief. Don't lengthen now with undue grief. Lift up your hearts and share with me. God wanted me now, set me free." We have come here today to give our final send-off to an activist, a cadre, a revolutionary, a soldier, a legend, who together with the collective leadership of the ANC did his work with exceptional devotion and excellence. Comrade Mandela is the first recipient of the COSATU highest honor, the Elijah Bahai Award, named after our first president, or founding president, the late Comrade Elijah Bahai. This is an award which is conferred to those considered by workers as being irreproachable and as having lived according to the highest standard of discipline and commitment to the workers' struggle. It is given to those who have never sold out, who have taken the name of the movement into disrepute. Very few among the living qualify for this award. We have come here today to be with the family of the great leader of our movement. We have come to say thank you to the family for giving Comrade Mandela to us. We have come to tell you that we know and understand, even as we say we should celebrate his life, but for you as a family, there's a continuous pain because you have lost a husband, a father, an uncle, a great father, and a great grandfather you love so much. We want the family to know that the workers of these countries, both in COSATU and outside COSATU, hold Comrade Mandela dear to their hearts, not because he's Nelson Mandela, but because of how we advocated for the values which we propounded by the ANC and our movement as a whole. When workers sing about him, Their blood is heated up, their eyes become wet because they know, as part of the leadership collective, Comrade Mandela could best articulate their plight, and not only articulate their plight, but use his authority, first in the ANC and later in government, to elevate the agenda of the workers. It was during his term of office in government that the country signed into law a constitution which has the Bill of Rights that elevate and protect the workers' right. Comrade Mandela signed this legislation despite serious and heightened campaign by opposition who went all out to mobilize against these laws. Millions of workers in our country and internationally see Mandela as theirs, not because it has become fashionable to do so, but because they know from the practical experience that it is Comrade Mandela who elevated the great values of human solidarity, which remains traditionally at the core of the workers' struggle in South Africa and across the world. It is Comrade Madiba who insisted that our economic policies should respond to the need to create an employment when he said, and I quote, "There are few things with great assault on a person's dignity than not being able to work when desperately looking for a job. If there is one area where the need is greatest for concerted common effort among all in our society, it must be around job creation and employment opportunities." Today, we insist that as we enter the second phase of our transition, as we honor this great leader, our country, we must work to achieve the creation of decent jobs for all. Tata, you have left us at the point where all alliance partners, including the ANC, have made a common resolve and commitment that this phase of our revolution must be characterized by radical economic transformation. We have left at a critical point of our revolution where a moment of dedication is once again confronting our movement. Over the past 19 years of democratic breakthrough, we have realized many achievements, political freedom, but as we normally say, political freedom alone needs jobs, we need food on the table, we need clothing, we need access to higher education. We have observed with pain how, despite all the efforts by our movement and the government to achieve quality of life of our people, few and those who benefited out of the apartheid continue to benefit even more in the new democratic dispensation. We want you to know that, like yourself, we'll do everything we can so that our people enjoy a complete freedom based on the declaration call made in the Freedom Charter. As workers, we want you to know, as I'm concluding, Comrade Chair, that we'll work hard to the last drop of our energy to ensure that the ANC, as per our resolution of the Congress, win the 2014 election with a decisive majority. Comrade Madiba, as you look for the branch of the ANC, you are likely to meet Comrade Vuisilemini, Elijah Bahai, Comrade Violet Siboni, Lillian Ngoyi, Ruth First, OR, Comrade Sisulu, Chris Zani, John Komoma, and many, many others. Tell them about the achievement we have made, but also tell them that inequality, poverty, and unemployment still persist. Tell them that the movement is alive and strong. It continues to prioritize the need of the working class. Tell them that we'll continue to build and defend this movement. Tell them that we continue to live and be directed by the discipline and the tradition they taught us. But also tell them that we love them. Adios, camarade, obrigado, ikhensile ngofu.
Thank you, Comrade Becky. Thank you very much, Comrade Becky. Amandla. Comrades, unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of time, so we are going to ask speakers to stick strictly to the time that we've allocated to them. I'd now like to invite a representative from the South African Communist Party to deliver a message.
Mandla. Long live Comrade Nelson Mandela, long live. Long live the Alliance, long live. Forward to socialism, forward. Comrade Chair, thank you very much. The President and the Deputy President of the Republic, the President of the ANC, the former President, the Mandela family, and the Abatembu, Izithwalwa that are here, stalwarts of our liberation movement, members of the ANC NEC, members of the South African Communist Party Central Committee, COSATU Central Executive Committee, SANCO NEC, and all their respective delegates and members, comrades and friends, members of the liberation movement present here, our international comrades who gave solidarity to our movement, our fraternal organizations. We are gathered here to send off one of the finest revolutionaries, indeed, South Africa's greatest son, President Mandela, to his childhood place to rest eternally. Our main task remains to pick up his spear and continue the struggle. We should more than ever be spurred to consolidate, deepen, defend, and advance our revolution. Our revolution should defeat its detractors. It should be firm and yet caring. It should be ideological and very political, and demanding in its moral force of an example, that which President Mandela stood for and demonstrated. We should forge ahead with radical economic changes to end poverty in our society. This is possible given the resources we have in our country, given the position of our revolution, that we must summon all its strength anchored within the masses to fulfill this mission. We should give no inch to the enemies of our revolution and always remain vigilant, because indeed our revolution itself should be vigilant. Equally, our democracy should be robust and strengthened. This does not mean it must not be firm. It must be firm and yet tolerant, be disciplined, but not be chaotic and anarchic, as sometimes we seem to see. There's discipline in democracy, and there's discipline in the struggle. We also want to emphasize and call on our movement that we must continue to reclaim the revolutionary Nelson Mandela, so that future generations don't just see him as an undefined icon. He is a revolutionary icon. This is important that this context is made and continuously made, so that our revolution can always look at this particular example. We as revolutionaries have a sole mission to serve the people and transform our society, transform the social conditions of the people for the better, to become humane and caring. This is what Utata stood for and represented. We are also bound by conviction as the advanced detachment of our society to lead them by example. This is what also the revolutionary Madiba was about. We wish we can always remember him as a revolutionary servant of the people, that dedicated militant that established Umkhonto weSizwe, trained as a guerrilla, led its forces, organized all key detachments to advance our revolution. We want to take these few minutes to send our deepest condolences to Mam Crash Machel, to the Mandela family, to the entire Batembu, to the South African nation, the whole African continent and the world, and also to the African National Congress, Mr. President, for giving us this brilliant revolutionary. May you continue to produce many more such revolutionaries, and may his fighting spirit live on. Amandla! Long live the spirit of Comrade Nelson Mandela, long live! Forward with our revolution, forward! Thank you.
Malibongwe. Comrades, we're also joined here by Kurdistan National Congress, the Peace and Democracy Party in Kurdistan, SWAPO, and the Communist Party of Portugal. We are also joined by Mr. Ibrahim Turak, Senator Ibrahim Turak from Nigeria. I would like to invite a member of the South African National Civic Organization to deliver a message of condolence.
Program directors, the President of the African National Congress, the Deputy President of the African National Congress, the Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa, the former President of the Republic of South Africa, Comrade Thabo Mbeki, leaders of the ANC, SACP, COSATU and SANCO, the leadership of the ANC leagues, the Veterans Leagues, the MKVA, the ANC Women's League, the ANC Youth League, the Youth Formation, leaders of government, leaders of the religious fraternity, the business fraternity, ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends. SANCO is here to pay the last respect to our father, our leader, our teacher, and our commander. We are here to thank the Mandela family for allowing Tata to serve the nation. We thank Mama Winnie for the support she gave to uTata esejele nokukhulisa kwakhe abantwana eyedwa kwakhona futhi ehlukunyezwa kunjalo. We also want to thank Umama Ugrasa Machel for caring for uTata kuze kube sekugcineni. Siyabonga mama. To uTata, we want to say you have taught us to be responsible citizens. When you launched the Masakane campaign in February 1995, you said it should be an ongoing campaign. You also said rights come with responsibilities. SANCO is recommitting to revive the Masakane campaign to address mainly issues of community responsibilities, including community ownership to community facilities, preventing vandalism, and ensuring that even when we protest We do not destroy what has already been given to us. We are also committing to mobilize communities to pay for services by those who can afford to pay. We are committing to mobilize communities against poverty, inequalities, and underdevelopment. We would want to see a reduced number of poor families in the social grant and indigent register. Zezo zinto tata osifundise zona. Sohlala siziqhuba singusanko sifundiswe nguwe. Hamba kahle tata, siyabulela.
Madiba loved the poem Invictus, and I'll only read one of a little part of it. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. I'd now like to invite Nelson Mandela to speak on behalf of the family.
In Kubo, some years back, when I was only a youngster, I used to hear youth in Soweto shouting, "Amandla!" And I used to think I was the popular kid because my name was being shouted. But more profound, they used to also say, "Viva Mandela, viva!" And I used to say my name, my surname, in the same day. I must be very important. Naive I was, because I was just a 9-year-old boy. Patin Kubo, divumele ntatel tuba. Khahlela umongameli wam, mongameli womzantsi Afrika, mongameli we-ANC, umtaka Nxamalala umsholozi, phunyuka bemphethe. Ubawo uZuma, ongumongameli welizwe lakowethu, nomongameli we-African National Congress. Divumele nthathe lithuba ubulisa losuka uba ngumongameli womzantsi Afrika nomongameli we-African National Congress, Jamakasijadu, zizele imnyama nenkomo zalo. Bawumbeki. Divumele tikhahlele ku-leadership ye-ANC yonke, tikhahlele ku-NEC, tikhahlele ku-National Working Committee, namalungu onke ombutho we-African National Congress. Manthathe lithuba ukhahlela ku-Tripartite Alliance, SACP, iCOSATU, kanye nesankho kwingwevu nengwevukazi ezilapha phakathi kwethu kumzi wakowethu endithunywa nguwo, mzi kaMandela, mzi kaNkosi uMphakanyiso, mzi kaDalbhunga, kubazili bonke umlisela nomthinjana, kumama uNobandla nomama uNosizwe, ndiyabulisa kuninonke egameni likaYesu Kristu, amen. Ndithunywa likhaya uba ndifunde i-obituary yengwevu yakowethu endingumzukulwana wayo. Ndicele amadoda onke aphakame xa sizawukhahlela enkosini. Sawukhahlela kathathu njengesiko. Adalbhunga, Adalbhunga, Adalbhunga. Singahlala. The obituary of Nelson Mandela reads as follows. Unkosi uDalbhunga Nelson Mandela, the father of our nation and one of the world's greatest icons, was born in Mvezo Komkhulu, a tiny village on the banks of Mpashe River in Transkei, on the 18th of July, 1918, to Unkosi Umphakanyiswa Gadla Mandela, kanye nentombi kaNkedama, umama uNoseke Nongaphi Mandela. His father was the key counselor or advisor to Abatembu Royal House. After his father's death in 1927, the young Rolihlahla became the ward of Chief Jongintaba Dalindyebo, the acting regent of the Tembu nation. It was the Tembu Royal Homestead that his personality, values, and political views were shaped. There can be no doubt that the young man, Unkosi uDalbhunga, went on to bring about some of the most significant and remarkable changes in South Africa's history and politics. It is through the grandson of Mandela that the world cast its eyes on South Africa and took notice of the severe and organized repression of black South Africans. Yet it was also through Mandela that the world would learn the spirit of endurance and the triumph of forgiveness and the beauty of reconciliation. Indeed, the story of the son of Nkosi Mphakanyiswa, that of Nelson Mandela, is so much more the story of South Africa. When he was only 25 years old, Unkosi uDalbhunga joined the African National Congress. His political career would span decades more. As himself said, I quote, "The struggle is my life," unquote. The young Mandela also qualified and practiced as a lawyer. Together with Ubawu Oliver Reginald Tambo, he opened the first black legal practice in Johannesburg, known as Mandela and Tambo Associates. Mandela married intombi yasemaqwathini uEvelyn Nomathamsanqa Mase in 1945. They were married for 14 years and had 4 children. uThembekile, born in 1946. uMakaziwe wokuqala, born in 1947, who died at 9 months. Makhathu Lewanika Mandela, being my father, was born in 1950, and uMakaziwe Phumla Mandela was born in 1954. The couple divorced in 1958. He was instrumental in the formation of the radical African National Congress Youth League in the 1940s, which was determined to change the face of politics. Umzukulwana kaMandela was elected the League's National Secretary in 1948 and President in 1952. Much of the years that followed saw uMandela deeply involved in activism, rallying for political change against the increasingly aggressive apartheid government. He was a key player in the ANC's campaign for the defiance campaign of unjust laws in 1952 and the treason trial in 1961. During this time, he was incarcerated several times under the apartheid laws and banned from political activism. Realizing that the ANC needed to prepare for more intensive struggle, he became an instrumental force behind the formation of a new section of the liberation movement, Umkhonto Wesizwe, MK, as popularly known, as an armed nucleus with a view to preparing for armed struggle. Nelson Mandela was the commander-in-chief of MK. On the 14th of June 1958, Unkosi Dalpunga and Umamu Nobandla Winnie Madikizela were married at a local Bizana church. They had 2 children, Uzenani, born in 1958, and Ujinjisha, born in 1960. In April 1992, they were separated and finally divorced in 1996. He left the country in 1962, disguised as David Motsamai, and traveled abroad to arrange guerrilla training for members of Umkhonto Wesizwe. On his return to South Africa, he was arrested for illegally exiting the country and inciting a strike. Mandela decided to represent himself in court. While on trial, he was charged with sabotage in the Rivonia trial. This is the famous statement from the dock made in 1964. I quote, "I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve. But if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die." Close quote. In the same year, Mandela and the other accused were sentenced to life imprisonment in the Rivonia trial and sent to Robben Island near Cape Town. While in prison, Unkosi Dalpunga rejected offers made by his jailers to be released on condition he would renounce violence. I quote, "Prisoners cannot encounter into contracts. Only free men can negotiate," close quote, he said. He served a total of 27 years in prison for his conviction to fight apartheid and its injustices. Released on the 11th of February 1990, Unkosi Dalpunga plunged wholeheartedly into his life's work, striving to attain the goals he and others had set out almost 4 decades earlier. In 1991, at the first national conference of the ANC held in South Africa, inside South Africa, Comrade Mandela was elected president of the ANC, while his lifelong friend and colleague, Ubao Oliver Reginald Tambo, became the organization's national chairperson. In a life that symbolizes the triumph of the human spirit, Nelson Mandela accepted the 1993 Nobel Peace Prize along with the former President F.W. de Klerk on behalf of all South Africans who suffered and sacrificed so much to bring peace in our land. The era of apartheid formally came to an end on April 27, 1994, when Nelson Mandela voted for the first time in his life along with his people. However, long before that date, it had become clear to us as a nation, even before the start of the negotiations at the World Trade Center in Kempton Park, that the ANC was increasingly chanting for the future of South Africans and South Africa. Nelson Mandela was inaugurated as president of a democratic South Africa on the 10th May 1994. This world icon worked tirelessly even after the achievement of democracy in South Africa to continue improving lives, even as he retired from politics. His attention shifted to social issues such as HIV and AIDS and the well-being of the nation's children. As testimony to his sharp political intellect, wisdom, and unrelenting commitment to make the world a better place, Comrade Mandela formed the prestigious group called the Elders, and an independent group of eminent global leaders who offer their collective influence and experience to support peace building, to help address major causes of human suffering and promote the shared interest of humanity. Comrade Nelson Mandela is survived by his wife, Mamunosizwe Grasa Machel, 3 daughters, and 18 grandchildren, with 12 great-grandchildren. My President, for the past 3 days, I have sat with my grandfather while he's been lying in state. I have witnessed his army. I have witnessed his people. I have witnessed ordinary South Africans who walked this long walk to freedom with him. And I can assure the African National Congress today that the future of this country looks bright. Indelendle esihambayo sohlangana ngeFreedom Day. Adalphu mzukulwana kaMandela tholel duna lika Gabhaldudu Stawe sinoboya sakulono machengile khambel nendevu lika Ngubengcuka mzukulwana kaNdaba toka bhexesha ilanga usuke elwandle uyoma ngegqili sonto ntshaba zingazumenza sophitsho ngqolomsila yemyem vela bambhentsele mzukulwana kaNdaba kaZondo kaTato kaMadiba kaHala kaDlomo nto kaNxeko kaMguthi kaNtande kaToyi kaCedume kaBhomoyi kaThembi sithi uqhatso ulifezile lala ngoxolo mzukulwana kaMandela tholel duna likaNkosi uMphakanyiswa Camako.
Thank you very much, Mandla. It's very hard not to want to break into a revolutionary song. I know you're restraining yourselves, but we thank you for that. Comrades, let's not forget that the values espoused by the African National Congress, carried through by its leaders, in particular in our history and our time, Comrade Oliver Tambo, Comrade Nelson Mandela, Comrade Thabo Mbeki, Comrade Jacob Zuma. Non-racialism, non-sexism, a united and democratic South Africa. Madiba did a lot for women in our country to drive back the chains of patriarchy, and we must never forget that. I now would like to call somebody who is very special to our country, Zahara, to perform a song and a poem for Madiba. Zahara? Oh, okay. We have Mzwaki Mbuli before Zahara. Thank you very much.
Nina benkayishana kamenzi yaphuza umlaza ngameva. Nina bakamzilikazi kamashwabane nina bakasoshanga. Nina bakabheja nephuma esiqibili nina belembe lenqamanye emalebe ngokhalipha nina bakasoshanga. Zihambile izinsizwa kusele izibongo. In 1912 the African National Congress was born. The movement of the people grew from strength to strength, from urban to rural, from rural to the farms, from the farms to the hinterlands, from the hinterlands to the valleys. The African National Congress, the oldest movement in Africa, the greatest survivor, the survivor that survived all episodes and tragedies from assassinations, imprisonment, infiltration, poisoning, trials, tribulations, banning orders, banishment, cross-border raids. 100 years of bitter struggles, 100 years of exploitation, and oppression, 100 years against injustice and tyranny. The ANC for better life, the ANC for poverty alleviation, the ANC for service delivery, the ANC for total emancipation. The movement produced time-tested leaders, the movement of the people, the movement of visionaries that formed Umkhonto weSizwe, the spear of the nation, the People's Army affectionately known as MK. MK unleashed telling blows to apartheid regime. We salute the first commander-in-chief of Umkhonto weSizwe, Nelson Mandela. We salute the first black president of a democratic South Africa. We salute Oliver Reginald Tambo. We salute movement, the presidents of this movement, John Langalibalile Dube, Chief Albert Lutuli Madlan, Duna Sefako Mahato, Zakaria Mashobane, Josiah Kumete, Pix Liga Seme, Dr. Kuma, Dr. Moroka, Nelson Mandela, Tabumpeki, Jacob Zuma. I speak of Ahmed Katrada, Andrew Mlangeni, Anthony Lebete. I speak of Archie Kumete, Bram Fischer, Pierre Sonoti, Billionaire. I speak of Chris Hani, Chris Tamini, Dennis Goldberg, Dumanokwe. I speak of Yusuf Dutu. I speak of Elias Mutsualedi, Elijah Pahai, Governor Mpeki, Griffiths Mklenga. I speak of the Lion of Midlands, Harry Kwala, Jimmy Matthews, Joe Klabi, Joe Solofo, Johnny Makatini, Laluchiba. I speak of Matthew Goniwa, Spero Mkonto, Fort Talata. I speak of Moses Mabita, Moses Kotane, Dr. Neka, Oscar Mpeta, Achi Kumete, Raymond Mhlaba, Sol Kaplati, Bishop Trevor Hutterstein. I speak of Wisilemini, Kainga and Mkaba, Walter Sisolo, Wilton Mkwai, Z.K. Matthews. I speak of Imbogoto, Adileti Tambo, Amina Kachalia, Albertina Sisolo, Baleka Mpete, Petpoeta Kowa, Charlotte Matleke, Dorothy Nyembe, Frini Jinora, Greta Ngapai, Helen Joseph, Gertrude Sope, Tuni Mlangeni. I speak of Jesse Duarte, Lilian Ngoi, Nomvula Mokonyana, Kosaza, Natamini Zuma, Ritanzanga. I speak of Reverend Mutale Kula Chabako, Ruth Mampati, Rahima Musa, Ray Alexander, Sophie Williams, Sister Bennett Ngube. I speak of Tandi Modise, Vesta Smith, Winnie Matikisela Mandela. I speak of the young lions, Andrew Zondo, Peggy Mlangeli, Bani Mulukwane, Mtutuzi Koma, Marcus and Montimutaung, Solomon Galuchi Machango, Peter Mukaba, the stalwarts, the veterans, the heroes, the reverend, from Rivonia to Robben prison, from Pozumo prison to Victor Verster prison. I dedicate this poem to the heroes of our struggle. From prison to prison, Governor Mbeki was released and could not be quoted. I dedicate this poem to the stars of our struggle. From prison hospital to restrictions, Harry Kwala released both arms paralyzed and could not be quoted. I dedicate this poem to the heroes of our struggle. From Rivonia to prison, from Pozumo prison to Verster prison, Nelson Mandela's release became the swan song of the regime. 30 tricks from delaying tactics. I dedicate this poem to the heroes of our struggle. Let me dedicate my poetic praise to the leadership of this movement, the leadership that stood the test of time, the leadership that stood the test of time, like the baobab tree. They survived all kinds of weather, like a gold and diamond. They have gone through the fires of time. I dedicate this poem to the family units of our struggle, families that suffered, persevered, and conquered, families that have gone through degrees of hardships, families whose widows, whose husbands, whose wives become widows, while their husbands remained alive in the dances of hell. I dedicate this poem to the persecuted families of our struggle. From Rivonia, seconds became minutes, minutes became hours, hours became days, days became months, months became years, again years became weeks, weeks became hours. Then prison doors and gates were wide open. From Reagan administration to Thatcherism, this movement was labeled a terrorist organization. No, I call them combatants. I call them heroes. I call them veterans of our struggle. I dedicate this poem to the heroes of our struggle. My praising cannot be complete unless I dedicate my poetic praise to Comrade Oliver Reginald Tambo. O for organize, R for regiments, T for take over. The movement of the people survived all kinds of tragedies, from infiltration to ambush, from ambush to betrayal, from betrayal to resistance, from resistance to resilience, from resilience to power and freedom. Sahara.
Thank you very much, comrades. Could you please take your seats? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Dalipunga, Tela Bufa, Matiba, Molumsila, Vela Bambensele, Yem. A global icon, internationally acclaimed.
Nelson Mandela, Tata Madiba, father of the nation. Nelson Mandela, Tata Madiba, father of the nation. Awela makawe, ageko ofana naye. Awela makawe, ageko ofana naye. Imisebenzi yakho iyasimangaza, uyibekile indlu webandla, sonke sifisa ukufana nawe. Uyisibonelo emhlabeni wonke, uhlanganisa abamnyama nabamhlophe, wasenza sabanye sohlala sikuthanda.
Madiba, we shall sustain the momentum. Madiba, we shall preserve your legacy. Madiba, we shall emulate your values and principles. History demands that we succeed as a nation. History demands that we do not become complacent. History demands that we do not rest on our laurels and work harder. We are duty bound to rise above malice and prejudice. Let reason and wisdom prevail. The chief of Waterkloof tribe, a former amateur boxer, a graduate from Robben Island Prison, a lawyer by profession, Madiba, the legendary leader, the first commander of Mkonto Wesizwe, a torchbearer who captured world attention, a trendsetter par excellence, 27 years behind bars in a concrete jungle. Indeed, the long road to freedom, the long walk to freedom.
You're our banner of peace, our pillar of strength, our soldier boots. You're the father of nations, the world's icon. Your name shall live on. Long live Tata Mandela. Sohlala sikuthanda, Nelson Mandela. Tata Madiba, you father of the nation. Oh, yeah, Mandela.
of a democratic South Africa. Madiba, a catalyst. Madiba, a reconciler. Madiba, a unifier. A unifier when breaks the enemies of our struggle. Love can best be measured by ability to forgive. Madiba, a genius excellence. When he created Nelson Mandela through his parents. Long live the resilient spirit of Nelson Mandela. Long live.
Long live.
A round of applause for Zahara and Mzwake Mbuli. Thank you very, very much. Never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another and suffer the indignity of being the skunk of the world. That's our President, Nelson Mandela. Further acknowledgements of our guests from all over the world: Portugal, the Communist Party of Portugal, from Reunion Island, the Reunion Communist Party, Sri Lanka, the Global Tamil Forum, from Sweden, the Party of European Socialists, Sweden, the SDP, from Sweden also we have Sweden Development Agency, from UK, the Labour Party, from the USA, the Anti-Apartheid Movement, and the Rainbow Push with Reverend Jess Jackson. International other guests. In total, we've got more than 35 organizations represented. Of course, we want to thank all of them for being with us, and we want to proceed with our program. I do want to thank all those who have come forward to observe a guard of honor. And at this point, comrades, I'd like to give you a chance to sing a revolutionary song. I will not start unless you don't. Oh Mandela lo, oh Madiba Lord, oh President, oh Madiba yo. My president, my president, my president, my president, oh Madiba yo, my president, oh Mandela lo, my president, my president. My president, my president, my president, oh Mandela lo, my president, oh Madiba yo, my president, my president, my president. My president, my president, At this point, comrades, I'd like us to welcome the President of the African National Congress, the President of South Africa, Comrade J.G. Zuma. Nelson Mandela, Sabela, Oya Bezos. Nelson Mandela. obizwa magere, obizwa makomanda, Nelson Mandela, uyabizwa, Nelson Mandela, uyabizwa, uzobizwa magere, obizwa makomanda. President Jacob Zuma.
Thank you, comrades. Directors of the program, fortunately for me, you did not say how much I must speak. This is the morning and celebration of our leader. Ningalobothi futhi ningidonse ngebhantshi la ngemva. Mama Grasa Machel, Mama Matikizela, Winnie Mandela, abathembu bonke odlomo, members of the National Executive Committee of the ANC and the leadership of the Alliance, former President of the ANC and of the country, Thabo Mbeki, Deputy President of the ANC, Deputy President of the state, traditional leaders who are with us and religious leaders, political parties coming from all over the world and from our country, veterans of the struggle, comrades and friends. Comrades, since the day our leader departed, we have in a very special way, remembered him. Not only us, but the whole world. We have received messages of condolences from all over the world, but from our country as well. It has been an unprecedented morning of the pouring of love and support to this icon. The state has played its part. It is still continuing to play its part in honor of this great leader. Today, the African National Congress and the Alliance are here in this ceremony to send our leader off to the Eastern Cape at Kunu, where he came as a young man to Johannesburg. Johannesburg, that made him to grow to this towering leader of our people. So many things have been said about Madiba because he has done so many things. He has distinguished himself so many times in everything you can think of. Madiba, the man of action. He combined two things that is not easy to do, to combine theory and practice. He did it more than many. Madiba, the first national volunteer-in-chief of the ANC during the Defiance campaign. When the ANC took the decision to embark on campaigns beginning with the Defiance campaign of the unjust laws, they could not see any other than Madiba, because the ANC had reached the point of action in its policy of non-violent struggle. He led the volunteer corps successfully, as he has always repeated, to ensure that the unjust laws were not accepted by the oppressed people and that they needed to change. Madiba, who always spent time to think about the struggle and plan about the struggle, was one of those who authored the M Plan. When there was a realization that the apartheid regime was becoming more vicious with time, he argued that we needed to change the method of work. We could no longer continue in the manner in which we had been continuing. We must have disciplined structures for the ANC to survive the onslaught from the apartheid regime. That was the period when the ANC had decided to undertake militant action, not just to be soft but to be militant. The period of non-violent struggle moved to the highest stage, and as it developed, as the mobilization was stronger, the apartheid regime increased its repression and brutality. What it used to do, which Madiba himself went through, banning individuals not to talk, house arresting some, it finally banned the organizations in 1960. When the organization was banned in 1960, after a period of persuasion to the regime for a long time, of course, the ANC leadership had seen that the situation was changing. Before 1960, in 1959, the ANC took a decision to campaign in the world, to mobilize the world to isolate South Africa. And that decision was articulated his president at the time, President Luthuli, who said, you could not, as a world, have relations with South Africa that was brutally suppressing and oppressing its people. And that South Africa must be isolated, sanctioned by the world, and called upon mainly the big countries in the world and said they must show their bigness by understanding this, that you cannot strengthen in trade and otherwise a state that was racist and brutal to its citizens. It was the following year that a decision by the regime was taken to ban all political parties, and therefore saying the struggle should come to an end. A very intense debate took place, organized and unorganized. The young people felt the time had come to do something. What should we do with the banning of our organization? Should we change the name? Some of the volunteers felt we should defy the enemy. Let us continue operating as the ANC. If need be, we go to jail. Because if we change the names, they might do what they were doing in the then Rhodesia, where names had been changed of organization. The debate was, it was not the name, it was the ideals that the organization stood for. And therefore the ANC decided to do what the South African Communist Party had done 10 years before 1960, to go underground with an intense debate of what to do. And the debate was, let us change the method of struggle. But there are two decisions that the ANC took at the time which became very critical for the struggle to continue. One was to implement the call made in 1959 to mobilize the world. That campaign was taken so serious that only the deputy president had to be sent out of the country to lead that campaign in the name of our leader and president, Oliver Tambo. A decision therefore was taken. He should leave the country to establish what was then called the ANC External Mission, to mobilize the world. In other words, to implement the decision that the world must isolate South Africa. He left the country. When he saw the enormity of the task, he thought he needed some of the most powerful leaders to come and join him, and requested that one of our icons and powerful leaders, Moses Kotane, should be allowed to join him. And many other leaders joined him afterward. That was the start of a campaign that connected our struggle to the world, led by this outstanding leader, our President OR. In the process of the debate, the ANC came to a decision that we must take up a different method of struggle, the armed struggle. Of course, carefully discussed at the first level as sabotage actions, etc. And we must form a military wing in Mkhonto weSizwe, because the ANC as an organization on its own could not turn itself into a military organization. And that this organization must be born in its own right and name, and it must put itself at the disposal of the ANC. When that came, the situation was changing in the country. You needed brave people. You needed people of action. You needed people who could strategize, hardworking. The only name that was identified by the ANC was the name of Nelson Mandela, to begin this new arm of struggle, the armed struggle. These two colleagues and comrades who had worked together were the two among many who were given very distinct tasks to undertake, to lead, whilst the ANC, in broad terms, went underground to operate. Thus, Mandela, who was one of those who argued very vehemently for the change of the strategy, together with his comrade and friend and brother, one of our leaders as well, whom both O.R. Tambo and Madiba referred to as their senior, Walter Sisulu. Madiba debated this with Sisulu first, even before it was discussed in the formal structures. And it is also interesting that when they raised the idea for the first time in the leadership, it was kicked out. In fact, some of the senior leaders thought this was almost bordering to adventurism. And Utata Sulu, with Madiba, two of them saying, "Where did we go wrong?" And he said, "We made a mistake. We should have lobbied Moses Kotane first." That must tell you how powerful Moses Kotane was. A man we still have to celebrate. A man who could argue his way, and it was difficult to argue against. So as always, Tata Sulu said, Madiba, go and have tea with Moses Kotane and persuade him. Strategies and the man of the people, Tata Sisulu, understood Madiba's strengths. One of the specialists of Tata Sisulu was to understand the strengths of the comrades he worked with. Madiba had something powerful. He had the capacity to persuade. He could persuade people to a point and make them understand where he comes from. I recall a small conversation at some point abroad when somebody in the country that I'm not going to mention was very difficult. Very difficult. OR had met him and he agreed the man is difficult. He said, this man will only be convinced by Madiba when he comes out of prison. Because nobody can argue against Madiba. And indeed, Madiba went to our leader, Moses Kotane, and argued the point more strongly, to a point that Moses Kotane began to see the logic of it and said, raise the matter in the next meeting of the leadership. That's when a huge debate began, and Madiba was at the center of it. Perhaps because he was a man of action and he had argued so much. And by the way, it was not just argued in the National Executive Committee meeting only. Once that decision was taken, the ANC said we must go and raise the matter with the entire alliance, not the current alliance, the tripartite, the different one, Congress alliance. It was debated there and finally agreed. And once it was agreed, as I said, it was Madiba himself who was then asked to establish this military wing. And thus he became the first commander-in-chief of Umkhonto weSizwe. The debate was, much as we have followed the non-violent struggle kind of method, it was clear that the enemy was not going to respond to this. We therefore have to use a different language that would be understood, but beginning with it very carefully. And it is again important to note that when Madiba did anything was very thorough. The first actions of MK were not supposed to have any casualty in the form of people dying. So it was not going to spill blood at the beginning. Sabotage actions were sending a message to the regime. So the policy of MK that was carefully crafted, in fact, it is the one that made the judge in the Rivonia trial find it very difficult, among others, to sentence them to death. But of course, the struggle developed. And as you know, Madiba played a major role. Madiba, the strategist. Madiba had the gift of seeing things and concentrate on what he has seen and talk about it and clarify it. Good in working on tactics, and indeed a powerful legal person. As many will remember, in 1962, when he was tried for the first time, where he was convicted for 5 years, when he was accused, he accused the regime and said, I'm a black man in a white man's court, and therefore there would be no fairness in the trial. Madiba, the man of peace, but the revolutionary, was not prepared to wait for peace one day to come because we talk about it. Who felt we needed to take action. And he was one of those who was in the leadership of action. At times, people are mistaken that for the ANC to declare armed struggle, it was becoming an organization that was not interested in peace. But no, the ANC was saying in order to quicken peace in South Africa, we had to take that decision. As again put very briefly by our former president, Chief Luthuli, who said, the road to freedom is via the cross. That captures this policy. That for us to get to peace and freedom, we had to via the armed struggle. That's why Madiba, again the man of action, after more than 2 decades in prison, he began to want to put sense to the regime and started talking to the regime. Very interesting indeed, because at the same time he was beginning this process, it was at the same time that Oliver Tambo was also beginning to send his cadres to probe on this issue. Much as one was on Robben Island or was in prison, the other was not in prison. Madiba believed in unity. This is what he preached. This is what he worked for, to unite people in the country, in the continent. His wish was that if only people in the world were united. He believed in reconciliation and worked for it as we began the negotiations. But also believed in forgiving to those who would have wronged us, who would have wronged him. Thus, this country was lucky to have a man of that caliber who could negotiate very strongly, but at the same time, remember that all what we're doing was to bring about peace, freedom, and democracy in our country. Very honest, very straightforward, man of integrity. And he believed that if you agree with him, you mean it. And that's the reason why, as we were adjourning CODESA, when former Deputy President de Klerk asked to speak last, And yet he wanted to attack the ANC. When he did so, Madiba, the honest man with integrity, he did not ask for the floor. He took the floor and went for de Klerk and told him how dishonest he was. Madiba, one of his strengths is that he was honest. If he had a different point with you or an idea, he will talk to you, either to you as an individual or formally in the structures. He did not use his talent to talk to you indirectly or through innuendos. He talked to you directly. And that made him to always feel free to raise the issues. Madiba, a strong believer in non-racialism, in a country that institutionalized racism, the apartheid. Madiba believed in democracy. He was a Democrat who understood the world, who understood that, yes, we are the people of South Africa, but we are diverse. And that diversity should be understood and be respected. That's why he could combine the life in Kunu and the life in Johannesburg, and there was no contradiction to Madiba. He believed in changing the quality of life. But he also was aware that you could not do it overnight, and he said it himself. It was a process. But he also understood where to begin to really change the quality of life. Thus, his focus on the youth and young people and education. Because he knew that if you wanted to change the quality of life, you must change the citizens at their infants, educate them, empower them. He understood a Zulu idiom and a Xhosa idiom that says, inkunzi semathole, imanzi semathole, ugotshwa usemncane. Ngoba ngeke umfundise umuntu osemdala, usekutshela ukuthi kade ngangibona. And I hope, as we remember him, we are going to take this, that his understanding of a long-term development was that let us change the quality of lives by focusing on the young people who must grow up with good cultures and values so that they become good citizens tomorrow. Yes, we will miss him. He was our leader of a special type. He was our father. He was our guardian. He was something special. That is why, among others, the ANC recognized him with his highest order of isithwalandwe riapalang, as a recognition of his leadership and contribution. Comrades, I would be very happy if, as we mourn and celebrate Madiba, we do not abuse his name, but we take example in him, because he never abused his membership and his leadership in the ANC should not think that Madiba's passing on is a time for us to indirectly settle scores. Would not have understood Madiba, and it means we'll never understand him, because he was an honest man. And I would imagine comrades would be indeed take this organization very far by doing what Madiba did. We must have learned lessons from him. Today, we are saying to Madiba, as you came as a young man in Johannesburg, today, having departed, we are now sending you back to a village at Kunu. We want you to rest in peace there. We want you to always remember and guide us. We're happy that we were still young. We'll join you later. As you promised to establish the branch of the ANC or join it, we'll join you there. Yes, it is true. Akekho fana naye uMadiba. I would like once again to thank the international people who are with us here, who have come to mourn with us, to mourn with the family. I would like to thank the family of Madiba, who were ready to share Madiba with us under difficult conditions. I want to thank Abatem, who were ready to share Madiba with us. I would like to thank the members of the African National Congress who have indeed observed this period with dignity, as well as members of the Alliance. The question is, can we produce as an ANC other Madibas? Under what circumstances? Madiba was produced by the ANC under different circumstances. We need to ponder and say, how could we do it today, given the conditions of today? Because we need more Madibas so that our country can prosper. Yes, we are free, but the challenge of inequality remains. The problem of poverty remains. Unemployment remains. And therefore the challenge to us to think and remember Madiba is to be more committed and dedicated as ANC members to do what Madiba did. To make the ANC grow stronger so that it is able to face the challenges of today. Directors of the program, I don't want you to attempt to pull my coat because ngiyakahlela la ngemva mokwangithinta nje. But thank you very much. Thank you for all who have come here. Thank you for the veterans who have been with Madiba and those who are commanded by Madiba, as volunteers, as MK cadres. And thank you to those who took the lessons to Madiba, from Madiba, and indeed who are still here. Tomorrow we'll be saying a final goodbye to Madiba at Kunu, and I'm sure many of us will be there. We'd like to say to Madiba, go well, Tata. We have played our part, we have made our contribution.
We'll always remember you. We'll always keep you in our hearts. We'll always learn from your lessons. Amandla! Awethu! Umandela utahlome. Umandela utahlome hlasele. Osiyaya. Owesizwe lusaka. Umandela utahlome. Umandela utahlome hlasele. Osiyaya. Owesizwe lusaka. Umadiba utahlome. Umadiba utahlome hlasele. Osiyaya. Owesizwe lusaka. Umadiba utahlome. Umadiba utahlome hlasele. Osiyaya. Owesizwe lusaka. Umadiba utahlome. Umadiba utahlome hlasele. Osiyaya. Owesizwe lusaka. Umandela utahlome. Umandela utahlome hlasele. Osiyaya. Owesizwe lusaka. Umandela utahlome. Umandela utahlome hlasele. Osiyaya. Owesizwe lusaka. Umandela utahlome. Umandela utahlome hlasele. Osiyaya. Owesizwe lusaka. Amandla! Awethu! Mandla! Yaruna! All power! All power! Oh, hinde endlela esihambayo. Oh, hinde endlela esihambayo. Oh, hinde endlela esihambayo. Oh, hinde endlela esihambayo. Washu Mandela, ubalandeli bakhe wathi sodibana nge-free. Washu Mandela, ubalandeli bakhe wathi sodibana nge-free. Oh, hinde lendlela esihambayo. Oh, hinde lendlela esihamba. Oh, hinde lendlela esihambayo. Oh, hinde lendlela esihamba. Washu Mandela, kubalandeli bakhe wathi sodibana nge-free. Washu Mandela, kubalandeli bakhe wathi sodibana nge-free. Hinde lendlela esihamba. indlela esihambayo yinde lendlela esihambayo yinde lendlela esihambayo washu Mandela kubalandeli bakhe wathi sodibana nge-freedom washu Mandela kubalandeli bakhe wathi sodibana nge-freedom amandla indlela sisayihamba sikafikela siyakhona indlela endlela. Thank you very much.
Comrades, thank you very much to our President for the message. I'm going to request that you will see a lot of changes on the program. Let's get the last group to come and bow and move. We will not be allowing longer period of being here in front. So can we just let that group to come in? I am aware that various professional categories have had to come forward, various sectors, but I think we have lost the time. And at this point, I'd like just to spend 2 seconds standing and then bow and move. In the meantime, I would like to invite Zondwa and Ndaba Mandela to come forward and give us a vote of thanks. And Nirvana Stars must take the position on the side. And we will also allocate about 2.5 minutes for them to make their rendition. And whilst that is happening, I would like that the MKMVA will be preparing to take positions as well. Now, if we can just allow this last group to come forward and bow and then move. Just come to the front and bow. Thank you very much. Next to the veterans, I'm sure one of the days you'll be veterans yourselves. In the meantime, could we invite Zondwa and Ndaba Mandela to come forward? They could come forward, yes. We will not take a song. I'm sorry, comrades. Can you allow the vote of thanks in the meantime? And then get Nirvana to take position. Thank you.
First and foremost, I would like to thank the oldest African political organization, the greatest African political organization, the most powerful African political organization, the African National Congress. Without the ANC providing a platform to our grandfather, we would not have known Nelson Mandela. Without the African National Congress, he would have never had the support nor the protection to fight the apartheid regime. And therefore, would like to thank you. Would also like to thank the MK veterans, as well as the ex-political prisoners, for their dedication and relentless support of our grandfather during the apartheid times. We would also like to thank the NEC, as well as the NWC, for assisting in some of the most difficult decision-making process that they had to go through during their time. We'd like to thank the government, our president, not only of the government but the ANC, Jacob Zuma. We'd like to thank the former president as well, Thabo Mbeki. The Mandela family is not the only family. that had to share their leader, their father, their grandfather with the African National Congress. Jacob Zuma, Thabo Mbeki, and all the former presidents of the African National Congress and their families had to undergo grueling sacrifice during those days, and would like to thank them as well.
Good morning. We would also like to thank the organizers of this event. Although our grandfather is receiving a state funeral, the ANC was quite adamant in having this ceremony, and we would like to thank you for this glorious send-off. We would like to thank all the ordinary members of the ANC. These past few days have been quite difficult, and there were a lot of people who ensured that people were fed and that people were well taken care of. We'd like to thank you. We'd like to thank all the friends of the ANC. A lot of you traveled from far. Thank you for taking this time out to be with the ANC and to be with this family during this difficult time. I must say, from the numbers I see here today, that next year's election should be quite a successful one. On behalf of the family, as we take our grandfather back to his final resting place, you can be sure that there's a commitment from us that when he arrives to the gates of heaven, he'll arrive there with his membership card close to him. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Zondwa and Ndaba Mandela. Thank you very much. I would like Nirvana to be on standby. I will give them the opportunity to render an item in the next few minutes. In the meantime, I'd like to ask Chaplain Mapatswe to come forward and indicate the order as we take forward our program and change the flags from the ANC to the military, and Chaplain is going to take us through quickly.
May I invite not the retired generals, but the real generals. May I command you now, the pallbearers, General Mesleby, General Kepuza, Untate Makopo, General Muloi, take your position. Tate Mapoto, Comrade Katrata, Tatum Langeni, Comrade Max Sisulu, then after carrying the body of Utatu Mandela, there will be a ceremony of handing the flag to the family. The President of South African National Military Veterans, Comrade Kebi, will hand over the flag to the President and the Commander-in-Chief of the people of South Africa, Jacob Kedlehlekisa Zuma.
Chaplain General is going to be leading us in the process. Allow me to bring in a number of announcements whilst we're moving. May we rise? Thank you very much. May we take our seats, and please allow me to take you through the very quick announcements. We are not over with the process of changing the flags, so I will change, and at that point I'll alert you. But just firstly to say that at this point, we are handing over the flag. I think we should just observe a moment of silence at that point. Thank you very much. The flag has been handed over from the chaplain of the Defense Force to the chairman, the leader of the Military Veterans Association, to President J.J. Zuma, and then he has just handed it over to Mama Russia. This is how we normally do it as we bid farewell to our leaders. May I just ask that those who carry the luggage of the family, they need to deposit it towards the back. As soon as we move, we will be moving. They'll be moving to the left of the stage or at that exit, and I think it will be good to, as soon as we disperse, they take that position. Secondly, there is a list of those who are moving to Umtata, and I would like them also to use the same exit at the same time. Just to also say that there will be no cars remaining in the Air Force Base, otherwise they'll be towed away. So those who are traveling, please see Paul Langer at the back and give him your key so that he can help to move and clear the cars away from here. If I can just quickly go through the list of those who are going to be traveling. Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa will be asking to go through that. Comrade Jesse Duarte, Andrew Mlangeni, Mendy Msimang, Comrade Ruth Mompati, Gertrude Chope, Agnes Msimang, George Bezos, Isaac Mapoto, Ahmed Katrada, Barbara Hogan, Reverend Vugile Mehana, Bishop Zipho Siwa, Dennis Goldberg, Reverend Vuyani Nyobole, Kosazana Dlamini Zuma, Beauty Lulane, Paulo Jordan, Pule Mabe, Noktawe Mafu, Jane Manganyi, KB Mapazwe, Philip Mapulane, Billy Masetla, Sam Mashinini, Tito Mboweni, Joyce Moloi Moropa, Pinky Mloi, Sanki Mtembe Mahanyele, Jackson Mtembu, Sonia Sifura Ntombela, Nozi Pontwana Ambi, Miriam Skabutla, Rosina Siminya, Sue van der Merwe, Supra Mauma Pilo, David Makura, Philemon Mdaga, Sihle Zigalala, Dakota Lehuete, Zamani Soul, Natso Kumalo, William Bulwane, Begin Chali Jali, Zakele Tele, Solomon Mapaila, Ruth Bengu, Limias Mashilem, Zwandi Lemasina, and someone from Youth League and Women's League, Evelyn Mulotsi, Johannes Lechutlane, George Lechurosana, Keith Koza, Dali Tambo, Rachel Tambo, Nomatemba Tambo, Dudu Lani Tambo, Silo Rasitaba, Evan van der Bay, Suresh Sunaran Manjobe. That is the list of those who need to move through. And I'm only calling the names because there will not be any waiting time and there will be no other announcements, and the flight will leave as soon as the time allows, because this is a military base. There's a number of aircrafts that need to move, so please oblige. In the meantime, therefore, I'm going to be asking that Nirvana give us a piece of music. I will stop them when the military has to proceed. If they could take the stage and give us a piece of music. Nirvana, thank you. Do we have Nirvana on this? You're coming here? Is there a problem? Or you need...
Madiba fought for our freedom, and freedom is all about future generations. We can only carry out his legacy to our children and our children's children. He showed us that the greatest love of all is within us. Let no one snatch that away from us.
I believe the children of our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty that possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be. Everybody's searching for you. People need someone to look up to. I never found anyone to fulfill my needs. A lonely place to be, and so I learned to depend on you.
I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadow. If I fail, if I succeed, at least I live as I believe. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity. Because the greater love of all is happening to me. I found the greatest love of all inside of me.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, don't be surprised you don't see me in the front there. At this point, I'd like to invite the President, the members of the family, and all our dignitaries to make their way through, and may we all, in the meantime, rise. We will now have come to the end of our function. but we will get the choir the music group to continue singing whilst we disperse. But thank you for everything, and please travel safely. And the members of the Mandela family, would like them to move forward towards the back there. Somebody is waiting for them to take the proceedings forward. But the group will continue singing at this point. Thank you very much to everybody.